Can y'all hear me? Oh my God, I think you can. Great. Today I'm going to be talking about how to become, I'm going to be talking about engineering management, how to become a engineering manager, and then how to become a great engineering manager. Yeah, so if you only take one thing from this talk, it will be that people drive results. So if you're able to pair what motivates people, what drives people, with what the business needs to deliver, then you're on your path, at least in my book, to becoming a really great engineering manager. All right, so we need to talk a little bit about the staff versus management path. Now, the staff path will be the path for most software engineers. It's where you just continue growing as an individual contributor. And it's a way to ensure that people who don't become people managers, don't have reports, also have career progression. And this is really important because, A, not everyone, sorry, someone was going to get me some water. Maybe they can put that there at some point. That's really important because not everyone will want to or be good at being people managers. And also, B, it's obviously much fewer management roles than IC roles. And we need to make sure that software engineers who never become engineering managers also can have career progression. The management path is for those of us software engineers who are curious about people management, or who maybe take on more and more engineering management tasks and become increasingly motivated by driving a team to deliver results rather than coding ourselves. And the split between engineering management and the staff path usually happens at senior software engineer level. So the first mistake you want to avoid is thinking that management is some kind of fast track to seniority, because it's not. If you are a mid-level software engineer who wants to become an engineering manager, the first thing you need to do is become a senior software engineer. Yeah. You don't want to think that managers are more senior than other technical staff, because we're just not. I have plenty of staff engineers who are either to my side or above me. These staff level engineers don't report to me, but they might help my team while they're reporting to someone else. So this is another reason, by the way, why it's a good idea to become a senior software engineer before you become a manager, and that it can be difficult to have people more senior than you reporting to you. So, for me, as a junior engineering manager, I could have up to senior software engineers reporting to me, but to have staff level software engineers reporting to me, I needed to become a mid-level manager myself. So the TLDR is don't think managers are above other technical staff. We are not. Now, with that out of the way, here are the questions or the topics I'll aim to cover in this talk. And these are questions that I get a lot. And these are all things that are very relevant to engineering management. So let's tackle those. But before we do, hello, everyone. My name is Julia Wallin. It's really great to be here. It's great to see it's filling up. It's great to be back at Devworld. I'm a software engineering manager in the Beyond Basemap team at TomTom. Yeah, we're in the ADAS org. ADAS stands for Advanced Driver Systems. Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. Basically, autonomous driving. So that's where I am. Before that, I was an engineering manager of data scientist at Capgemini. Before that, I was a senior software engineer at a Norwegian VR scale-up, etc., and so forth. And yeah, I've dealt with high performers, I've dealt with low performers, I've dealt with reorgs and shifting priorities, and basically everything that might and probably will be thrown at you as an engineering manager. And I'm happy to share my wisdom with you guys. All right. Here is a list of mistakes to avoid and what to do instead of doing those things. And by the way, I think all of these I've done, yeah, at least one time. So I can speak from experience. First of all, don't be a tyrant. Well, I don't know how much of a tyrant I've been, but you know. Instead, influence, basically. Welcome. So we've talked about how engineering managers aren't above other technical staff, like staff software engineers, and that it isn't some fast track to seniority. Also, don't think that just because you're a manager, software engineers or your team members, other people, will just do as you say automatically. You will have some authority as a manager, but the rule of thumb, at least how I operate, is to basically never use it. So even though you're a manager, even though you have some authority now, you just don't want to use it. You want to think that you don't have it, basically, and reserve that for when you absolutely have to. So that means that, yeah, you have to influence your team to do the right thing. Yeah. I think the reason that you don't want people to just do as you say is very practical. You neither can nor want to just control and micromanage what everyone does, but you don't need to either. I mean, you have a team of smart people, and they are not hired to do as they're told. They're hired to solve problems. So to get your team to do the right things, you need to explain what the problem is, and most likely they will want to help you solve that problem. Yeah. You need to explain why you're doing something, and then leverage your team and figure out how to solve those things, and then execute on that. Don't cling to coding. Instead, multiply. So there is a debate that just won't die, that refuses to die, about whether engineering managers should code or not. And the opinions are very strong here, and there's like countless, videos on YouTube, etc. In my opinion, this is just the wrong question to ask at all. What you should always ask yourself is, how do I best unblock my team? And if that's by coding, then go for it. Go for it. But my personal advice is be very careful. if that's what you want to do, because you might end up making a dependency on you in the team, which is something that you absolutely do not want to do. You might end up with a team with kind of low ownership because they look to you, which is something that you also don't want. So if you think like coding is the best thing you can do for your team, then go for it, but be careful. And then another thing that I think that young engineering managers or new engineering managers or aspiring engineering managers kind of forget is that as a manager, you will almost always have access to more information than the people on your team, your individual contributors. So oftentimes, and that's because you talk to everyone on your team, you talk to other leaders of other teams, you talk to your boss, maybe their boss. In general, you have access to more information. So oftentimes, at least in my opinion, the best thing you can do for your team to unblock your team, instead of like diving deep on their level where they already are, is to use all the information that you have to bring them up to your level as much as possible. Yeah. And if you have a really, really hard time letting go of coding, you will probably have a hard time growing as a manager, because the next step for you as a manager is a middle manager, a manager of managers. At some point, you have to kind of let go of your identity as an individual contributor. And if you find that to be very painful, then maybe the management path isn't for you, basically. All right, another thing to avoid is don't have all the answers. Leverage your team instead. So again, your job is to unblock your team. And if they need to wait for you to solve every problem, then you're doing the opposite of that. Instead, bring problems to your team. And do the same when they bring problems to you. Bring those problems to the team instead of just solving them yourself or solving them individually. And the reason why you want to do that is to share knowledge, get alignment, and get buy-in from the whole team on like, first of all, this is the problem. This is a problem that we need to solve, and this is how we're going to solve it. And then work on that together. And if if no one on your team, including yourself, can think of a solution to a problem that you have identified, then it's the time to bring in outside help and escalate to your boss ASAP. So when we tell junior software engineers to don't stay stuck and like ask for help, that's true for teams as well. Don't stay stuck as a team. Don't hide this as a manager that you can't solve this problem. Escalate as soon as possible. And I've for sure made this mistake thinking that like, oh my God, I need to solve this and not create problems or create problems for my manager. But it's a much bigger problem if I just we don't solve something and also don't tell anyone, because how are they going to know? Until, yeah. All right. Another thing I unfortunately can tell from experience that doesn't work is don't do everything at once. Instead, plan and prioritize. So yeah, it might be self-explanatory, but it's definitely a situation that I think a lot of managers and just software engineers in general can relate to, which is also kind of a privilege, right? That the team has way more work to do than they can possibly do. So what you need to do is to make engineering plans for all the things that you're asked to do. Even if you know you don't have capacity to do it right now or even this year. Especially if you know that you don't have capacity to do it. Make a plan for how you will solve it, including estimates. And then the best thing you can do for your team and to help your boss is to make these engineering plans and then show them, like, this is how much effort, this is how I would solve it, this is how much effort it's going to take, etc. And then they can use that in their plans. And they need that for their plans. And then maybe they will see that, you know, X, Y, Z, for X, we might need a completely new team. And for Y, they might see that, oh, we might need to hire a specialized engineer to solve this, you know, problem. And for Z, they might see that actually, based on the engineering plans that you've provided, we decide that we're not going to do this at all. And that's a very valid outcome of a plan that you've made. I've had that happen, and that's absolutely not wasted effort, although for software engineers it might, you know, feel that way. You're asking them, like, hey, please create a plan for how to solve this, da-da-da. They use, you know, their brain cells to figure that out. And then management comes back and says, like, we're not going to do this. But yeah, like I said, that was not effort wasted, because there's usually a good, or there's probably a good reason why. Moving on, don't hoard ICs. Lean is good. So I recently had someone ask me, how do you deal with a situation where you know that if a software engineer leaves your team, you're not going to get a backfill for that engineers? Should I like keep sort of low-performing software engineers in my team because one engineer is better than 0 engineers? And my answer to that is absolutely not. Absolutely do not do that. First of all, you should always, as an engineering manager, you should always support the growth of your reports, of your engineers, even if it means that they grow out of your team for whatever reason, even if it means that they leave the organization. You always want to support the growth of your engineers. And that might be really painful in the short term, because you have plans, you know, you've made the resource management, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly someone quits, and you are going to struggle to deliver on time, right? It's painful in the short term. But it's going to be much more painful in the long term if you don't do this as an engineering manager, that you don't support people's growth. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that you will be surprised of how much a slightly low-performing engineer, for whatever reason, will slow your whole team down. That's because you, as their manager, are going to spend a lot of energy trying to help this person, and your great engineers are going to do the same, because that's what they do. They are great teachers, etc. And so, you know, don't hoard ICs. And I also want to say, don't, I will say impact does not correlate to the size of your team. Don't fall into the trap thinking that you're somehow failing as an engineering manager in your career if your team is shrinking. Because you can do incredible things with a tiny team of, I don't know, 3 people who are only focused on one thing, right? Think of all the startups that start that way, right? And at the same time, you can have a huge team. You can have a team of 20 engineers or 150 engineers who, you know, over the course of 6 months, deliver virtually nothing. So never think that the size of your team equals impact. It doesn't correlate. And then what you can do, and what you always should do, is tell your boss what you can and cannot do based on the capacity that you have, which includes the skills that you have in your team, right? Engineer A left. We're now lacking these skills, and we can't deliver on this right now. And if they come back to you and say that they want you to do more and they can't wait, then you might find out that you might get that backfill after all, actually. So this is kind of on you as an engineering manager to communicate what you need, and instead of just like taking things on. Lastly, don't care only of results. Care about people. Now, as an EM, as an engineering manager, your job is to deliver results through your team. But that doesn't mean that you'll get the job done by just focusing on results. You can get away with just focusing on results for a short time. I don't know like how long, to be honest. But a much more sustainable way to drive results is to find out what motivates your team, and then think about how the work that's needed to be done in your team is going to help your engineers get their goals for growth or whatever it is. And yeah, the good thing about caring personally about the people in your team and what drives them and what they care about is that it's really, really easy to show. So over time, you don't need to like tell your engineers that I care so much, blah blah blah. You never have to say anything like that. You just show them over time by being there for them when they need you to. And then caring personally about the people in the team over time is going to give you that authenticity that you need to influence them to want to help you, to deliver what the business needs, and even go above and beyond for the business. So these are some of the things to avoid and what to do instead. Sorry, need some water. How to become a manager when you can't be promoted to a manager. This is a question I've gotten recently. So yeah, I don't like in this audience here, how many people are software engineers? Great. Yeah, so if you find yourself in an organization where you can make it a senior software engineer, but for whatever reason you can't go further than that, you can't be promoted to engineering manager. There are still other ways that you can get the experience and the skills that you need, and then use that to apply to an EM role elsewhere. Hopefully you can talk to your boss about how to do that. But if you can't even do that, there's still ways. Because leadership is not a title. So let's talk about some of the tasks of an EM. It's team leadership, obviously. It's performance management. It's project management. It's technical guidance of team members or the whole team. This is the approach we're going to take, blah, blah, blah. It's stakeholder management, all your downstream customers, all your teams up and down in every direction, or your boss. Recruitment and onboarding. Process improvement. You see something that doesn't really work, you change it, da-da-da. Conflict resolution, all these things. Oh, thanks. More. Yeah. So look around you. Whoa, what? We're on time? 5 minutes left? Oh my God. All right, I'll try to wrap up. Look around you in your team and solve those problems. That's engineering management. Yeah, and when it comes to implementing, new ways of working or whatever in your team, you don't need to ask for permission to do that. Just like you don't need to ask for permission to improve the quality of your code base, you make a PR. And this is the same thing. So even if you identify a problem and you don't have the solution or your solution isn't picked for whatever reason, you can still facilitate finding it, and you can help implement it. And that's engineering management. And then add that to your resume, and you're on your path. You can't do performance management, but you can develop a template for how to rate yourself and then share that with others. Yeah. So as you take on more and more engineering management tasks, add that to your resume while you, look for your first EM gig, basically. Wow, I had so much more to talk about. I can't believe I was that bad at keeping time. Yeah, let me try to summarize this really quickly. One question I get a lot is, how do I deal with low performers? And the most important thing to do is to convey to your report that they are not performing as soon as possible. And do this in person, if possible, or face-to-face, or over video chat. Never in writing, never on chat, never in an email. This is one of the most uncomfortable things about management, but it's also one of the most crucial ones. Because if you fail to do this, you might end up having to fire this person, which is much less fun, especially if it could have been avoided. So please give that feedback. Don't put it off. Do it at the next possible, don't do it in a group, obviously, but do that the next time you can. And then I just want to add one thing that I don't get asked as much, but it is at least as important, which is how to deal with high performers. And how to deal with high performers is to keep them, grow them, which is how you keep them. And I don't have time to go more into detail about how to deal with high performers. Other than that, it's really important and you should do it. So, yeah, that is what I had time for. Basically, people drive results. And thank you so much for listening.